Early. Look at that. We figured it
What's
out.
going on, bud?
Hey, man.
How are you?
I don't know if you saw, like, I was trying to, like, I was doing your big intro, and, like, Siri decided I was talking to her, and so, like, it cut away, because, like, I'm dumber than the technology is.
I feel like I'm 70 years old when it comes to technology. I'm not good with it at all.
Dude, you'd, like, do stories and stuff on Instagram, and you, like, have music.
Well,
You do
like,
all
I
that
can
stuff.
manage Instagram, but that's pretty much it. Like, I'm not good with computers, with Apple product. I'm just not good with it.
You're going to, like, have TikTok videos or something.
No, look, I don't have TikTok, or what was the other one? The Snapchat, or no, none of that.
I have no clue. Like, none. Like, my daughter wants, like, TikTok, and we're like, no. I don't even know why I'm saying no, because I don't really know what it is. Like, but no, you can't have that.
How's things over there?
They're good. I mean, we're busy, like you are.
Yeah. It's this time of the year, man. Like, we're cranking. We're in mid-production right now of Easter in general, like eggs, hens, ducks. But it's a fun time of the year because it's, we're producing and we get to be creative. And that's something that I'm trying to delegate to my, production managers, is like, have fun with it. Just go to town, like, do some colorful stuff.
And, you've got a class coming up that you're prepping for. That's the big reveal today. The big reveal,
Yes.
Gonzo Jimenez is going to be teaching live from the Atomic Innovation Center virtually.
That's going to be fun.
And you're teaching one class in Spanish.
Correct.
And one class in English.
Yep.
So go sign up now.
Yeah, that one's going to be fun. We're going to do some funky stuff. I was working on the whole mold development for that class too, so I will be shipping all that stuff next week. But yeah, it's going to be fun.
Cool. So
and then obviously the molds that I developed with Tom Rick that just came out, are they selling right now or no?
Your molds are available. So there's the other big announcement. Gonzo designed a couple molds for us on part of our chef-inspired series, and those molds are available on the Tom Rick website as well. So
heck yeah.
Your class is in May. I'm looking for the dates because I should know all this stuff, but
I don't even remember. Yes, somewhere in May.
I think it's May 12th, 13th, and 14th, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. The morning class is going to be in Spanish. The afternoon class is going to be in English.
Right.
Same class, pretty much.
Yeah.
And you're going to be doing modern takes on classic American desserts as confection.
Yes. Which is pretty much like that's what I like to do, like innovating on things that have existed for a long time, just giving it my own twist, but applying technology when it comes to molds and things like that, just, having fun with it, trying to give it like a modern presentation and something that you could actually sell in a chocolate shop without, getting super technical or anything. It's just something you can crank and produce, because at the end of the day, that's what it is. Like you have all this, like for making bonbons and spraying and things like that. There's all these beautiful techniques when it comes to cocoa butter spraying, which I think they're awesome for, photo shoots and knowing the techniques in general. But when it comes to cranking thousands of these every day, it's a pain in the butt. So
a little story. I got kicked out of my office at the beginning of COVID. Because I got kicked out of my office at the beginning of COVID, so a year ago, and it became official last week. Like, I lost my office, so like I got a bunch of junk, right? I got too much stuff on my desk. So anyway, so I'm cleaning up my desk, I'm throwing stuff out, and I came across Gonzo and I met 8 or 9 years ago when you and somebody on your team kicked my ass at Pastry Live.
Not really.
Where I knew I was totally out of my league when, I looked down the row of showpieces. I was like, can I go home? I'm going to go home. I'm on the next play.
Dude, the showpiece that you guys came up with was awesome.
Well, thanks, man. I mean, I forget which year we competed against each other, whether it was the first year or the second year. You did it more than twice, right?
I did it twice, 2 years in a row.
Yeah, that's what I did too.
Yeah.
I'm too old for that stuff now.
I think it was 2011.
Yeah, was that when I was with Rick?
Right. You were with Rick.
Yeah. It was fun. It was a crazy piece. I mean, other than my partner, like the judges are walking up to him, telling him to do something a different way, and he's like, "No, that's not the way I want to do it. That's not the way I practiced it." When a wall nodder is telling you to change your technique in the middle of competition, change your technique.
Yeah, indeed. But it was fun. I got to meet like some great titans of the industry.
Yeah, there were some heavy hitters there. Other than you, I mean, I don't even know who won that year. Did you win?
No. We got Best Artistry Award.
It was a nice piece.
But then the one who won the overall showpiece was Daniel Keatle. He was working for Hyatt back then, just like me. And then I don't know what he's doing nowadays. I think he's doing consulting and stuff for restaurants. Very talented guy.
All right. He is. Actually, were you there the team from Norman's when Norman's team was there?
That was the next year.
Right. Yeah. That was a nice piece too.
That was beautiful. So clean, it was perfect. Like really, really good. They kicked ass. It was really, really good.
You know, they're both of them are super talented, don't get me wrong. But like having Norman kind of in your back pocket, like critiquing your pieces is like, you know, like you better be good, right?
Heck yeah. Like all the big guys. Stefan Tron was there. Who else?
The only thing I remember was like my why it was all worthwhile was Awald Nodder walked up to me and said, "Brian, you're working really clean and your temper is good."
That's all you need to know.
That was a win. That was
awesome.
like a win. I was like, if Awald thinks I'm working clean, we're doing okay.
Heck yeah.
You know,
that was like my first competition. Actually, I didn't know what I was doing, man. To be honest.
Okay, so we've known each other. So we've known each other 10, 15 years. But you know, I don't know that I've ever really heard the whole Gonzalo Jimenez story. Like, so, I was born the poor son of a, you know.
I'm originally from Argentina. I've been here since 2009 here in the U.S. There's this hotel in Boulder, Colorado, this small boutique hotel called the St. Julian Hotel. They brought me from Argentina to start their pastry department.
Go back further. How do you like?
For a couple of years, and after that, I started working for Hyatt hotels.
But go back further. Like, so, how'd you start in pastry or confection?
How I started, I was 17 years old, and I was a bratty little kid, a pothead, and my dad literally kicked me out of my house, his house. I thank him for, like, it's the best thing he's ever done.
You guys have made up since then, I assume.
Yes, I spent like 2 years without talking to my dad. Now he's my best friend. I'm extremely grateful for him, like, just kicking me out. He's amazing. But I learned, like, you know, how to live without my parents and without money, and just, so what I did, I started working in a restaurant literally as a dishwasher on the coast of Argentina. I'm originally from up north, from Salta. And then I moved to Mar del Plata, which is the coast, and then
so if you got to get kicked out, you might as well live by the beach.
Exactly. So that's what I wanted to do. You know, just wanted to smoke pot and surf, basically. So I went over there, and I was a dishwasher, and I just fell in love with the whole like culinary world in general. So I was working there in that restaurant for like a full year as a dishwasher. And then I enrolled in culinary school. And then after that, I just, you know, started traveling around Argentina. So I did different like seasons, like in the mountains in Patagonia, like Buenos Aires. So I traveled around quite a bit in Argentina, just working for different people and learning. But there was this one time I was working in a hotel, and I was a sous chef in this small hotel. The pastry chef quit, and then the executive chef asked me, like, hey, do you want to go to the pastry department, just kind of like manage these ladies that have like no management experience, but they've been doing cakes and desserts forever. So I said, like, heck yeah, why not? So I jumped there and I started learning from these amazing ladies. So that's how I just, you know, I fell in love with it. And then one thing led to the other. So I jumped from pastries to chocolate, and then ultimately I fell in love with chocolate.
And ended up in Boulder. So how did they find you, or did you find them? How'd you end up
No,
there?
there was I was taking like a pastry course in Buenos Aires, and there was this banner on the wall type of thing. We're looking for somebody. This agency was, putting together contracts and stuff, and they take care of your whole visa, the whole 9 yards. So I just applied, and then a couple of days after that, I just had an interview over the phone, and then I just, 2 weeks after that, I was here in the U.S. Maybe a little more because it took like a month to get the whole visa. But yeah, so I landed here in Boulder in 2009.
English? No English.
I spoke, funny thing, I did speak English because I grew up in like a bilingual school. But then I also did my senior year of high school in Wichita, Kansas.
Of course. Where else would you rather be than right there, right then?
So I ended up, that was back in 2000. So I was there for like 16 months. And I used to be a competitive golfer. So that's how I ended up there, and I got a like golfing scholarship and such and such. So, I was like the kid in the varsity team, and I had a blast, like in the middle of nowhere in Wichita, Kansas. I loved it. You're in high school, I was golfing all day. It was awesome, actually.
I gotta admit, it's sort of wrong of me to say anything ill of Wichita. I've never been to Wichita, and people speak ill of Buffalo, and I'm a big supporter. So, I'll reserve my opinion about Wichita.
Small town. I had a host family. They are amazing, and my host father, he was a great golfer. He kind of coached me a little bit, and I just had a blast. As a teenager, you're 16, 17 years old. No, 16 years old, and I just had a blast. It was awesome.
Do you still golf?
Every now and then. Just I'm not competitive anymore whatsoever. I just go out there and have fun. But yeah, I was in like the Argentinian amateur tour when I was growing up, and I loved it. Like I wanted to become a pro, but I was never good enough for it, especially like up here.
Well, you smoked a lot of pot.
I smoked a lot of pot, yeah. Indeed.
Okay, so you're in Boulder.
I end up in Boulder.
You do speak English because you spent time in Wichita.
Right.
So you speak it with sort of a Midwestern accent.
Correct. Like I still have my Argentinian accent, obviously, but yeah, and I was like, it was funny because I didn't know the culinary slang when I first landed in Boulder. Like how to handle yourself in a kitchen. I didn't know how to like call, I don't know, what a Queen Mary was or speed racks, all those things. Like I just learned it along the way. But yeah.
See, I learned all these Spanish terms when I was in the kitchen, so that's the difference.
Yeah.
I got to hear Tortuga a lot. I don't know what they were saying, but I thought it was my nickname.
That means you're slow as hell.
Yeah, I know. I know that now. Hey, Tortuga, come here. Cool. I've got a nickname. This is awesome.
That's cool.
So this little, they want you to talk in Spanish. So, but you're going to do that in the class. You're going to talk in Spanish in the class.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so you end up at this hotel in Boulder, and you were there, like, running the whole pastry department?
Yeah, I started that pastry department. It was tiny, man. This was a boutique hotel, 160 rooms, if I'm not wrong. And we just started with, like, nothing. The executive chef started with me the same day, Laurent Michon, this awesome French guy. And we basically started putting things together, buying counters, because the hotel had been open for a year before that, but they never had an actual pastry department. Everything was coming from, frozen Cisco shenanigans. So I just got there and started applying recipes and making things from scratch. And then we ended up it was still a small pastry department. We ended up being 6 people, no more than that. But we made it happen. We produced everything in-house for the restaurants, banquets, room service, like amenities, etc. It was fun. And that's also when I started playing around with like showpieces, actually, which was something that I've never done before. I started doing showpieces when I landed here in the US. I started buying all these pastry magazines, and I'm like, what the heck is this giant chocolate stuff that people are making? So I started practicing.
Well, it's worked out okay, I guess. So you were there. How long? How long were you there?
I was there for 2 years, I think. Yeah, something like that.
And then went to work for
And
Hyatt.
then I went to Hyatt in New Orleans. I got hired to open or reopen the Hyatt Regency in New Orleans. It was massive operation. We're talking about 1,600 rooms, banquets for like 3,000 people, 5,000, like just massive. I had a pastry department up to 60 people. Huge, Vegas style. Everything made in house from scratch.
Of course, no point going in the middle. No point going to a Ritz-Carlton with 500 rooms for a little while and banquets for 1,000. Let's go all in.
Exactly. And I think I was 26 years old back then. Yeah, great experience. Exhausting. I still remember I worked 103 days or something like that, nonstop without days off. We're talking about like average hours of 16, 17 hours a day.
Better you than me.
It was ridiculous, but I learned a lot. It was an awesome experience for sure.
Yeah, like I think my hotels weren't quite that big, right? But there's something about, you know, working in small places or coming out of school and then walking into a hotel and the first time you make mousse, you're making 60 quarts.
Right.
Right. You know, and you're going to make 60 quarts like 5 times in a row. Like,
yeah.
You know, I remember, like, you know, Amanda Hubba from
yes.
AUI.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
So Amanda, like, was my trainer, like, at my first hotel job, right? And Amanda's like, well, chef wants me working with you. And I'm like, yeah, I got this, right? Like, this attitude, right? And Amanda's like, well, I'm going to teach you how to make raspberry mousse. And I'm like, I know how to make raspberry mousse. And she's like, no. I'm going to teach you how to make raspberry mousse here. And I'm like, cool, let's grab our ingredients. She goes, go grab 12 quarts of cream. And I'm like, go grab 12 quarts of cream. She goes, yeah, grab 12 quarts of cream and like 8 kilos of raspberry puree. It should be all in the fridge. Take the cart. You know, and it was just like, you know, your eyes get like, you know.
Right.
Like, what?
Yeah, the quantities are just like ridiculous.
What? Go melt 32 pounds of chocolate. You know. Oh. So you're in New Orleans and you worked 100 days in a row, but I mean, you were there for how long?
I was there for also somewhere around like 2 years, if I'm not wrong.
Right.
And then after that, I went to the Grand Hyatt in New York.
Another small little property that doesn't do any business.
Like, that was another massive property. And then that was kind of tricky because, you know, hotels in New York are like super union, like extremely
was
unionized.
the property in New Orleans? That property in New Orleans was not union.
It was not union. No. And we had a huge J1 program.
Right.
I would say 70% of the staff that I had in the kitchen were all these kids from like South America, Peru in general. I had a couple kids from Colombia. There were a lot of kids from Asia. All over the place. They were awesome though.
Right.
But the thing, what actually sucks is that, you know, their visa lasts 12 months. So every 11 months, you have to retrain the whole new batch.
Right.
To your recipes, procedures, SOPs in general. Like, you know how it goes. But then, so yeah, I moved to New York. New York was extremely unionized. And that was like a kick in the shorts, honestly, because you can't, me as a pastry chef, I could not spend more than, I think it was like 3 hours a week, like actually hands-on, because otherwise I'm taking hours away from the staff. So it was like a really strange thing.
So what did you do all day? Like,
so I was like the regional guy. So I was developing recipes, doing a bunch of like pastry things for all the Hyatts in New York. So it was like the Grand Hyatt. It was the Andaz in Times Square, the Andaz Hotel on Wall Street, another Hyatt, the Hyatt in Times Square, the Andaz on Fifth Avenue, a bunch of them. I was just like...
You wrote schedules?
I ran the schedules.
You went to banquet meetings?
100%. Every single day. So I was like from meeting to meeting, like it was horrible. So I went to the GM of the hotel and said, like, I'm actually not having fun whatsoever because I don't get to be like hands-on. So what he said, we just found a loophole in the union type of thing. So he was like, you're a chocolatier. Why don't we just develop a whole chocolate program? And that way you can actually hire people from the outside, because the people that you have are not specialized in chocolate. So that's what we did. I developed a whole chocolate program, and I launched like my whole line of chocolates for the Hyatts in general in New York. That was like Gonzo Jimenez chocolates. So that was like fun, something to put my name out there and like for me to have fun with chocolate, actually.
So how long? So you're in New York. How long were you in New York?
I was in New York for 2 years as well, and then after that, I moved to the Grand Hyatt in Chile. I go back to South America. So in South America, at the Grand Hyatt in Chile, I was there for 7 months, and I just resigned that position. I just had a lot of disagreements with the whole upper management team over there, but it was awesome because I already had an offer like at the door, which was Barry Callebaut back then. So they just opened their factory in Santiago de Chile, and they wanted to develop a chocolate academy. That's when they hire me, and I come in to like develop the chocolate academy for them. And that was amazing. It was like the best job I've had so far. Loved it.
Well, other than your own company, getting to work.
Other than my own company, obviously. But it was so much fun. There was a lot of traveling, a lot of teaching, a lot of consulting. And the coolest thing about it was that I actually got to work on a daily basis with all these food engineers and these chocolate engineers. And I got to learn so much from them. So that was like really, really cool. So when you apply everything that is made on a huge, large scale, if you apply all that to a smaller scale, it makes everything else look easier.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of like, you tour the plant up at St. High, right? Outside of Montreal, right?
Yeah.
And you're getting the tour, and they're like, so we set the record for chocolate production last week. We're like, so how much did you make? And they're like, 1.2 million pounds. Yeah. And you're like, in how long? And they're like, 24 hours. I'm like,
yeah.
So, and then I'm the guy, right, doing the math, right? So hold on a minute. 1,200,000 divided by 42,000, which is how big a truck is, right?
Right.
That means you had 48 trucks in and out to make $1.2 million or 1.2 million pounds a day. And they're like, yeah, probably. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Have you toured that plant?
Do they transport in trucks, like melted chocolate, or no?
A lot goes out liquid because a lot of it comes across the border back to the United States where they drop it.
Yeah,
because
there's a little down there.
Yeah, there's a little rule about if you cross a border in a liquid state, it's not dutied.
Right.
Right. So it can be made in Canada and then brought across the border liquid, and it doesn't count. Right. It doesn't count towards your quota on sugar and stuff. So, but that plant is crazy. That plant is so old. They've got lines, right, that'll run this way, right? And then there'll be another line above it running the other way because it's like conveying chocolate to some other part of the plant. And it's just like, this is nuts. Like, it's like, how do you find your way to your, the line? Like, forget, like, how do you find your way back to the front door? Like, how do you find the line you need to work on? How do you set it in place? Go to line 32A-4.
Right.
But that place is crazy. Like, they make all this chocolate, but they also like mold rabbits. Like, they do all this work for like some companies in Canada, some big companies in Canada that I signed an NDA. Like
industrial confectioners type of thing?
Yeah, like I signed an NDA, so I can't tell you. But
right.
But yeah, like they're running, so they're running chocolate chips over here for them, and then they're running, chocolate for a major confection company over here.
That's awesome.
Who like makes their own chocolate in other parts of the world, but they don't in Canada because they don't, right?
Right.
And then they're making Easter bunnies that they're foil wrapping over here.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell, man?
And I've never been to the one. They have one in like near Philadelphia. That's where they produce the Van Leer.
Yeah, I've been to Pennsauken too. Like, Pensauken's crazy. Pennsauken, most of Pennsauken leaves liquid because it's going to a very large chocolate company nearby. Right. And so they've got a line that's running 24/7 that all it does is the tractor trailer backs up, it loads up with 42,000 pounds, it pulls off. They start making the next 42,000 pounds. The truck drives 3 hours. It drives 3 hours back. They change drivers, and it gets filled again, and it goes back. It does it like 4 times a day. It's
That's
crazy.
exactly what we used to do in Chile. It goes like liquid from one factory to the other one, and it was just like tons and tons and tons of liquid chocolate. And then right next to it, I had like my academy where I'm selling, promoting Calibo and Cocoa Berry stuff that is coming actually from Europe. But it was actually pretty cool to be able to develop some really awesome industrial products and be involved in that team. Actually, that was pretty awesome and really rewarding because like nowadays, like I tell because like that stuff gets made in Chile and it gets like exported to Argentina. So I tell my folks like, if you buy that industrial chocolate confection or whatever, like I was involved in the development of that bar.
Yeah, I mean, but you're like me. I mean, like I think there's something about you've been to plantation and you've picked your own pods and you've put your hands in fermentation vats, which I've done too, and I can make a recipe in a kitchen, but I also have been to the industrial plant where they're winnowing, 5 tons an hour. You know what I mean? It's like this whole, like there's something like you're talking about, like being jazzed about that, but like being part of this industry at that level, like we both are, right? We've seen all of it. Right. Like,
and that's the thing, man. We're chocolate nerds, put it that way. Like, and not like I live for this, right? So, even on an industrial level, or anything that is artisanal, or if it comes to a showpiece, anything that is related to chocolate, I love it, and I just love the ins and out of the industry in general.
Yeah, like I took a tour of, so when I worked for AUI, right? I took a tour. I got to go to Switzerland a bunch, and I took this tour of one of the bigger industrial chocolate manufacturers in Switzerland. Chocolate Halba, right? And they're super automated, right? There's like guys in white coats in a control room, like pressing buttons, right? And stuff dumps in, it mixes, and it conveys to the next section, and then there's like one person on the floor, right? For this plant that makes I don't know, 20 million tons a year, or 20, whatever, you know what I mean, like 20 million pounds a year,
right?
Super. There's like 3 guys, but their warehouse, right? There's a control room again, and the guy's like pushing buttons, but there's glass, but you can't see anything.
Right.
And like, what's going on? He's like, here, I'll turn the lights on. So he presses a button, and they turn the lights on, and it's like 8 stories of pallet racking, and this robot that's like on tracks, like picks up a pallet and moves it. Right? Picks up a pallet and puts it into a slide. And
that's awesome.
And I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. And people at the tour are like, why? I'm like, because I also know what it's like to go grab a pound of sugar from the storeroom in the hotel, right? Where I have to walk downstairs and sign out a 50-pound bag of sugar, put it on my shoulder, and walk away, right?
Right.
I mean, I think you're right. We are a little bit of chocolate wonks. I think wonk is the right term. For
sure. But yeah, so it's pretty cool that the fact that we were able to see both sides of the industry. That's
so you're with Calvo for a while, and you miss the United States.
And then my wife, she's American, and she was actually having a hard time like adapting to work over there. So she's like, I want to get back to the U.S. I said, all right, if we're heading back to the U.S., I'm gonna open my own thing. That's the main goal. Just something small, a little shop where I can do some chocolates, have fun with it, like be able to, be creative. So that's what we did. And that was 5 years ago now.
You and David worked together though before, right? Like you guys.
We never worked together. Dave and I, like the work together that we did before was Pastry Life.
Okay.
The first Pastry Life, he came over as like my assistant for the first year. And that's how like we met, and that like we would hang out in competitions and stuff, but we never actually worked together. The first time I met Dave, I was at the St. Julian Hotel in Boulder, and Dave was at the Brown Palace Hotel, and we met in an AUI event.
Was Dave the pastry chef at Brown Palace then?
Correct. Yeah, he was the pastry chef there.
So, okay.
Like a very emblematic hotel.
I know, because I know Jim Gallo too.
Right, like he came right after Jim Gallo.
That's what I was trying to. I was doing the numbers in my head about when was Jim, who now works for Hyatt.
He works for Hyatt, yeah. Small world.
In Atlanta.
In fact, like I work with James for the opening of the Hyatt Regency New Orleans. He did a task force and he came over to help me out to like open this thing.
He's got a pretty good gig.
Yeah, he does great. Like he's got a great hotel and he's got
bees.
Say what?
He's got bees.
Yeah, he's got bees.
He has beehives on the roof that like they collect their own honey.
Yeah.
And they only use honey in the property from their own beehives.
Right. It's pretty cool.
In downtown Atlanta.
Yeah.
Go figure.
It's pretty awesome. It's a cool property. I've seen it. It's an awesome hotel. But yeah, it's a very small world, especially in Hyatt hotels. Like you get to know all the other chefs and such.
It's like the Ritz-Carlton world too. Like all the Ritz guys, like, you know, it's always the same kind of.
Same thing.
Same
thing. So yeah, we just landed here in Denver 5 years ago, and Dave and I opened this shop, which was Miette de Chocolat. It's a small chocolate pastry shop in this hipster market in Aurora, and like, you know, we opened, and 4 or 5 months after that, it was like too small because everybody, like all the other hotels from the area, were like, "Can you make bombas for us? Can you make amenities? Can you do this?" So there was a market for it, but we rented a huge space in order to develop a production facility, and that's what we did.
And how's the last year been? I mean, the last year's been effed up for everybody, but how have you guys done?
Right, but
hung in there?
It was rough for, I would say, like 4 months. You know, we had to let everybody go, and then thank God we rehired everybody else.
Right.
So that was the good thing about it. But we developed a couple other accounts. For example, there's this bakery there in San Francisco, and then they open a location here right next to us called Third Culture Bakery. They do like mochi muffins and such. But what I did during COVID, I developed a whole line of chocolates for them that are like very Asian flavors. So I did like this coconut ube bar. I'm doing this chocolate covered, like matcha chocolate covered almonds, strawberry almonds. I launched a whole line of like 7 different products that they sell online, and they buy by the pallet. We ship this stuff to San Francisco, and then they sell this stuff online. So that kept us busy during like the low months of COVID. And then everything else started, you know, picking up little by little. Good thing we got like approved for like PPP loans. And like I disclaim that to everybody. I'm not ashamed of saying it. Like, it's awesome. That's the greatest thing about this beautiful country, is that there's, you know, they help people out, and that's what we did. We got
but you hired people back. That was the point. The point was to borrow money so you could hire people back. So I don't think there's anything ashamed by the fact that you took a program that was designed to put people to work, and you put people to work.
Right. And that's what we did. And like now we actually hire 2 more people, because we opened another store, which is like where we have our production facility on the 1st floor. We just opened retail over there. And it's in the art district of Aurora here in Colorado. So what we did is a retail, you know, chocolate boutique / art gallery, because I have all these showpieces and paintings on the wall, everything made out of chocolate. So people come to see and like take pictures and interact, and it's pretty fun.
Sounds like I need to put Denver on the list when I'm allowed to get on an airplane again.
Yeah, buddy. Heck yeah.
All right. So we haven't talked about it in a while. You are coming here to teach a class.
Right.
I talked about it at the beginning, but there are different people here now. So you're coming to teach a class with us in May that we're going to do virtually online. Right. Registration is now open on the Tomric website.
Awesome. Yeah, you guys go ahead, sign up. We're going to be doing some cool stuff for sure. I'm excited.
We still haven't figured out how I'm going to moderate the Spanish section yet. We got to figure that part out. But
well, I mean, I need somebody asking like the question or repeating the questions that people are asking.
Yeah, I know. We got to figure that out. I'm going to figure it out. I promise I'll figure it out.
Okay, cool. It's exciting though.
Yeah. So anyway, so I ask a bunch of questions of people. This is like one of my questions. Like, so you're responsible, you're doing all that work in New York, you're like creating recipes, and like part of your gig is really innovation, right? At Calabo and all that stuff. And anything I've ever had from you has been really good, but there has to have been like a not winner somewhere. Like you were like, this is gonna be the greatest thing ever, I love this, and you showed it to like 3 people and they're like, Gonzo, this sucks, this is awful.
Oh man, like there's been thousands of those.
Give me the worst one. Give me the one that you were Give me the one you were positive was going to be like, everybody loves this thing. And they're like, no.
This was in Barranquilla in Chile. We were developing this chocolate that was for these bars for like an industrial customer in general. And we analyzed this cocoa butter that was coming from Brazil. That's got different type of triglycerides, so it's actually very soft type of cocoa butter. So the engineers and everybody were on the same boat. We end up buying like tons and tons of this cocoa butter, and those coming from Brazil. Once it comes over, we start producing with this stuff in the factory. It was awful, man. Like there was no way to pre-crystallize or temper this chocolate. That's how soft this cocoa butter was. We made the mistake of going like with a cheaper product that we thought it was great, but it was mainly a type of cocoa butter that you use for the cosmetic industry, put it that way, not the chocolate industry. So that
would have been good in ice cream coating. You could have put it in an ice cream coat.
We didn't know what to do with it. We sent it to rework, and then at the end of the day, but those were like 3 extremely stressful weeks in my career when I was working for Barranquilla. But you learn a lot, you know, like it was awesome. And then other than that, I've done cakes with some funky flavors that didn't work. Just to give you a simple example, when we first opened here, Miette Chocolat, we are in a ritzy neighborhood. Our first location is called Stapleton. So you have all these family people. And we thought, you know, I want to do all of my pastries, but like more high end when it comes to flavors. So I was doing, you know, white chocolate infused with jasmine and a whole bunch of other things that people were not buying. And then at the end of the day, that's when we realized, you know what, chocolate and raspberry sells, chocolate and caramel, peanut butter and caramel. So the creative side of what we're doing right now, it's like the presentation and the techniques. But when it comes to flavors, we're keeping it super, super simple.
Yeah, I think that's always the urge, right? Like I think you and I are a lot alike, right? Like I always want to like push on a flavor. I want to push on something. And at the end of the day, hazelnuts and chocolate taste really good together.
Right.
Like, you know, you don't need to like, it doesn't necessarily need 47 different herbs. And that doesn't mean that people that are doing that aren't doing really great stuff. I mean, like I don't want to, I'm not, no disrespect intended, but I think we need those safe things. Like my assistant makes fun of me because every time I like say, taste something, she makes it like, it needs more salt. And right, because I like salt.
Yeah, me too.
Like she's been working on this recipe for this peanut. We've been making this peanut chocolate basically, right? So we're roasting our own peanuts and we're milling them, and we're then adding cocoa butter and milk powder. And then towards the end, we're adding cocoa powder and all that. So we're making honey roasted.
We do the same thing here. That's one of our bean to bars.
Hey, by the way, she's using honey powder.
Nice.
I'll get you the contact about where to get honey powder because it's awesome. So you don't have to roast your nuts, right? You can roast your nuts dry and they can go into the mill, and it's the honey that always gums up the mill. This stuff has like no moisture and it's perfect.
That is awesome. So I'm assuming that honey gets like crystallized and then turned into powder. Yeah.
So they dry it basically. They remove all the moisture and then it's pulverized somehow. And so it's pulverized too, so it doesn't take really long to mill.
To refine, yeah.
Yeah, it's already refined. So it's super, and it like creates these really cool flavors. But like, so we've been working on this like peanut chocolate, basically, like peanut chanduya.
Yeah.
Right. And can I get the recipe? And it's just like, yeah, but that's not the whole show, right? Like, you know, but people love it, and this is like the greatest thing ever. It's like, yeah, peanuts and milk chocolate taste really good together.
Yeah. It's one of the just something really simple. One of the best sellers that we do here. It's literally a peanut butter Rice Krispie treat enrobed in milk chocolate. People go bananas for it. Like it's such a simple product, but people love it.
Yeah, like I love banana because you mentioned it. Like banana and chocolate. Yeah. And like again, it's like flavors that are like, you know, people like dairy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's not, we don't always have to reinvent the wheel. And, you know, a good friend, Philip Ricks, who's from Memphis, like we debate about this a little bit because he's like one of those guys that all the flavors are like super creative all the time.
Right.
And, you know, like Katrina at Vosges, right? Like those are people that have kind of created this little niche where things are super creative.
Right.
And if they stop being super creative, I think then people are like, where's the new flavor? But
right.
I'm with you, like caramel.
But
caramel?
that you know, everybody's got a different market, and we're all situated in different places. So if your market asks for it, that's awesome. Go ahead and do it and have fun with it. That's the greatest thing. Where we are in Denver, like we cannot do it. I have fun every now and then with like our bean to bar chocolates, and you know, I make my own essential oils, for example. And this was a whole campaign that we launched a couple years ago, like Gonzo running in the mountains, getting pine needles from the Colorado blue spruce and blah, blah, blah. So I make my own essential oil, and that's what I add to the actual bean to bar. So you're trying a chocolate that, you know, has got like aromas and like smells of pine needle, actual like blue spruce or any other pines from Colorado. And that's pretty fun. Like we have fun with those things every now and then, but it's not what we do on a daily basis.
So I'll ask this too. You just said you're running up in the mountains. That's kind of what you do when you're away from the shop. You're one of those like crazy ultra marathon people or something, aren't you? Like,
I run.
You'll hike for like 3 days with like a bottle of water that you fill from a stream.
I mean, not that extreme. See, it's funny. Like I've done some really long runs, but every race that I do, these super long races, they are a lot bougier than what people think because they're pretty expensive, and they actually set up like aid stations where they put out like food and electrolytes and water and stuff like that. But yeah, we're talking about like the longest one I've done was the Tahoe 200. Those are 206 miles, and I ran for 73 hours. I took 3 naps at night. The first night I slept for 13 minutes. The second night it was like 16 minutes, and the third night 20 minutes or something like that. I can't even remember. Like my brain was gone.
206 divided by 72. That's like 3 miles. You're still running like 20-minute miles for 3 days. That's crazy, man. Like in mountains and stuff?
In the mountains. Oh, so the elevation gain for that race was the equivalent of doing Mount Everest 1.5 times. Because it was like 40,000 feet of elevation gain. Like a lot of like going uphill. And obviously, when it comes to races like that, you're not literally running uphill because you need to preserve your energy. So when things get steep, you're actually like, we call it like power hiking. So you're like hiking up like at a faster speed, but you're not literally running because only the pros are the ones that, well, actually the pros, they even hike those parts. But yeah, it was crazy stuff. That's how I come up with some creative things. I'm so high on. So yeah,
a mountaineer on elevation. Like I can't breathe when I'm in Denver. Like I go to Denver and I walk around with this like headache for like 3 days, and like I'm ready to go home because, you know.
But yeah, it's fun. Everybody here in Denver does something. You have like, you know, ultra runners or mountain bikers. Everybody does something. It's fun.
We'll find something outdoorsy for you when you come here.
Heck yeah. We can go play squash, man. Are you still playing squash?
I play a lot of squash.
That's awesome. We can go play squash.
All right, we can go. We'll go do a little squash. So
I have a racket in the garage. I haven't used it for quite a bit, but yeah.
It's all right. My wife makes fun of me. My bag is full of rackets. I'm like you know the golfer that has too many putters or too many drivers. That's me. I've got like 6 rackets in my bag, and it's my daughter's like, why do you have so many rackets? I'm like, well, I've got my doubles rackets.
Right.
I've got my singles rackets, but you know, it depends on kind of how I'm feeling. You know.
How long have you been playing for?
I started playing when I was in high school, but I took a break where I didn't play for a long time. But I picked it back up like 8 or 9 years ago.
So you're like legit competitive.
I'm not the best player in town. How's that? I'm not in the top tier, but I have a lot of fun, and now my daughter plays, so we get to play together.
What are the categories here in the US? Is it 1 to 5 or no?
They go like there's numerical stuff too, right?
Right.
So a pro is a 6.0.
Okay.
Like 6.0 and above is kind of pro. I mean, a fabulous amateur player is 5.5 to 6.0, right?
Gotcha.
I'm like a 3.5.
You're good.
My daughter's like a 1.8. She's 12. She's gonna catch me here like soon. Like
awesome. I'm gonna go play with your daughter then.
We'll all go together. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
So so chocolates, what is the most popular piece in the case right now that you do?
We have many SKUs and like different options from, like I was saying, that this peanut butter Rice Krispie treat. We make our own Snickers. We call it Snickers, but it's actually so we actually mold it. I have a mold that looks like a Snickers bar, milk chocolate, and then inside we pour roasted peanuts. We do a caramel, and then I do a mix of. I don't make the nougat. So what I do, I just try to develop something a lot simpler when I first opened. So I was mixing literally white chocolate, peanut butter, temperate, good to go. Boom. And you have those flavors. The texture is not exactly the same, but for the regular palate, people think that it tastes exactly like a Snickers, but more refined because the flavors on the chocolate are a lot high quality.
Is Snickers your thing?
I love Snickers. Yes.
So the other question I ask everybody, commercially available candy bar. You can pick one. What do you get?
Snickers. Yeah. Snickers or Kit Kat?
I'm a Kit Kat guy.
I love Kit Kat.
But they're better in other places in the world than they are in the U.S.
Yeah, that's true.
But fortunately, Canada is only 1.5 miles from my office. So I used to be able to go to Canada. Not anymore.
You're right there from the border. That's crazy.
Yeah. So someday we'll be allowed to cross the border again.
Right.
Soon. We'll take you to Niagara Falls when you're here.
Heck yeah.
We'll get you up there.
That's awesome. Yeah, for sure.
All right. I'm out of questions. Do you want to plug some stuff? You can plug your website. You can plug your shop. You can plug your class again.
Yeah,
whatever
if
you want
you
to
guys
plug.
want to check out the stuff that we do, our Instagram is Miette Chocolat without the ET in the middle. And like right now, we're gonna be posting little by little all the things that we're doing, our different campaigns for Easter, which is a fun time of the year for us. And then yeah, that's pretty much it. Check out the stuff that we do. And so we're not doing e-commerce yet. That will be coming up in the next month. We're developing that whole thing. After 5 years, I finally convinced my business partner that we need to jump on e-commerce ASAP. So we're redoing our whole webpage, and we're going to start selling not all of the items, but all of our, mainly our retail items. We're going to sell online. So you're going to be able to get them anywhere in the U.S.
Cool. Sign up for your class.
Yeah, sign up
Modern
for the class.
takes on American classics in confection.
Yeah. Cool presentations like chocolate meets design. That's how I describe like my type of things. Because I love design and architecture in general. So like all of my stuff is like very modern design oriented. So yeah, for sure.
And I'd like tell people about your Instagram page, but like you have more followers than we do. So, But it's Chef Gonzo.
Chef.gonzo. Yeah. But Instagram doesn't mean anything now. That's what I keep saying. Like it's.
You got to be on the TikTok with all the hipsters. We're gonna get you a TikTok page when
Right.
you're. We can do like little dances when you're here.
The challenges, yeah.
And like cats.
Right. People go bananas all over that stuff. Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah,
I think that's it. You got anything else?
that's it, my friend. Thank you so much.
You got work to do.
I got work to do. Jumping back there.
You didn't talk. So the chocolate these days. You're a Republica guy.
Right. Oh, so that's something else that I do on this side as well. I'm the guy who represents Republica del Cacao here in the U.S. So, for example, when like back in 2019, I would travel basically once a month or twice a month around the country, like teaching classes and doing demos for Republica. And that's honestly the chocolate that we use in our operation. All the chocolate that we use is Republica del Cacao. And then obviously we make our own chocolate bean to bar on a very, very small scale. But I would say 95% of the chocolate that we utilize in our operation is Republica del Cacao. The other 5% we make it ourselves.
There you go. All right, man.
Yeah, good stuff.
Thanks for hanging out with me for an hour. I gotta go do some work.
Thanks for having me. That was so much fun. I cannot wait for our class in May, man. That's gonna be fun.
Hopefully, you know, things will be better in our world and we can actually do some stuff.
Exactly. It will. It's getting better little by little.
Yeah. All right. I think you can get out. I don't think I can kick you out. I think they've changed the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm going to cross. There's like a little cross right up there. But, hey, I want to say thanks to anybody that joined. I hope you guys had fun and you got to hear a little bit about, like, my background and how I met this wonderful chef. But, yeah, so thanks, everybody, for joining. And, yeah, stay tuned for that class that we're doing in May.
Cool, Gonzo. Appreciate it. Peace.
All right, bud. You have a great night. Take care.